Belly after 40 isn't stubborn. It's trained by bad advice. For years we heard skip eggs, sip juice, a glass of wine helps your heart, crunch for your waist, and now we live on caffeine, cooking seed oils, and say no to red meat. And I was that guy. This was me. And now, this is me. I stopped chasing noise and followed the signals from people who run the studies and show the receipts in public. Now I'm here to translate, not to preach, and separate the noise from the signal so you can finally move those belt holes. Let's get to it. And this video is sponsored by Kinyon. I'll tell you all about it in a bit. For years, we were fed the wrong playbook on food and exercise.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, I agree, if it's protein-based. How many of us start by sweetening the espresso and chasing it with a chocolate croissant? We wake up and start the day with a blueberry muffin and down it with a jug of milk and call it breakfast. You drank all that fruit juice and wonder why you're hungry by 10 a.m. Now how does this relate to fat burn? I'll get to that in a minute. Let's look at the next clip.
Bad news for egg lovers. A new study suggests you may want to pass on that 3-egg omelet for breakfast.
Man, humans have been eating eggs since fire was a new take. They say around 50,000 years ago. They didn't count cholesterols, they counted winters. And only thing on their mind was track, hunt, fire, eat, sleep, and repeat. Meanwhile, they're raw dogging the earth with bare feet, never calling it sick, like sorry, polio got me. Come on, let's look at the next clip.
Today's home workout is your 5-minute burn belly fat blast. Yes, it is just 5 minutes long, but I can guarantee.
Do all the crunches you want. You can't out-crunch last night's nachos, my friend. Sure, crunches make your core stronger under that blanket. But the million-dollar question is, how do you lose the blanket to see the abs? You see, you didn't fail the plan. The plan failed you, and that's just human. When the loudest mic, being the media, says it, we believe it and we go for it. But now the same media and the same mic is calling it back.
The new study finds that eating eggs, more than a dozen a week, may not negatively affect your cholesterol levels.
But the confusion stuck. Even to this day, people are scared that eggs are gonna raise their cholesterol levels. But the good news is that the signal is louder. I pulled the receipts from Huberman and Attia and many more, so you don't need a 3-hour podcast. 2 simple moves, 2 simple facts, 2 simple signals that helped me finally lose my belly fat. Signal 1, real fuel. What to actually eat. Alright, let's keep this simple and real. What is the definition of healthy food? Healthy food to me is nutrition dense, keeps my mood and energy steady, helps me recover, and is good for the long run, meaning that I won't get tired of it. It should also feed the muscle, should not spike and crash me, and doesn't mess with my sleep or hunger. And when it comes to choosing that food, I'll cut the noise and show you the signal so you know exactly what to eat. Almost every morning on my plate, 4 to 5 eggs.
Bear in mind there is a new study linking eggs to higher cholesterol and risk of heart disease.
Ignore that noise, stay with me. 4 to 5 eggs with cheese, and later that day, I'm gonna have some ground beef.
A new study finds a strong link between eating red meat and a person's chance of developing type 2 diabetes.
Stay with me. 5% ground beef when I'm cutting, and just regular ground beef when I'm just going about my day. And I skip all the processed stuff. I eat lots of fruits, raw dairy, and I feel great all the time. Now I have learned to build my meals around protein. Why? Well, it comes down to 2 main reasons. Protein fills you up. When you eat it, you're not hungry again in 2 to 3 hours. That's reason number 1. You ever notice when you have a big bowl of pasta, you get hungry again in like 2 hours, and whenever you're having pizza, it almost feels like you can eat it for hours. But when you have a steak or ground beef, you're pretty much full for the rest of the day. Well, the reason for it is, when we eat protein, the gut's proteases break it into amino acid.
If we eat the proper amino acids at the proper levels, if we ingest omega-3s and CLAs, conjugated linoleic acids, at the proper levels, or get them from supplements, there's a blunting of appetite.
In English, protein flips the I'm full switch. Sugary or low protein meals don't, so you keep snacking. But I don't base my meals around protein just because it keeps me full, and that brings us to reason number 2. Protein lets you lose fat without losing muscle. And after 40, muscle is your engine.
Proteins are essential because they compose all of the organs, all of your enzymes, all the stuff that does work is pretty much protein. For most people who are not pursuing exotic hyper bodybuilding pursuits, as little as just over half a gram per pound of body weight per day protein is going to take care of most of your needs. And you can probably lose fat and lose very little or no muscle at all.
Now you might be asking me why all the animal protein? Well,
not all protein is created equal. So if you're getting a reasonable amount of your protein from plants, you're getting a lower bioavailable amino acid. You're also not getting the same quantity of leucine, lysine, and methionine, which are probably the three most important amino acids anyway.
But Sean, you know what they say about red meat?
So if the question is, does red meat cause cancer? I think that is not correct. And I think there's plenty of evidence that that is not correct. If the question is, do people who eat a lot of processed red meat have a higher risk of getting cancer? I think the answer to that question is yes. It's probably much more because their diets tend to be much lower in vegetables and specifically much lower in insoluble fiber, which plays a very important role in the prevention of colorectal cancer.
Now the next question is, how much protein in a day? Well, don't take my word for it.
Is it so rare that someone is not getting enough protein or not getting enough calories that that's the problem? Is that just not something you see much?
It's a thing.
Okay.
It's a thing. Getting in enough protein, if you want to be real serious about optimizing your muscle gains, something like a gram per pound of protein per day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 150 grams of relatively high quality protein.
Now it might be challenging for some of you to get to that number by the end of the day, and that is why breakfast plays a big role. Breakfast really matters if it feeds the muscle. Juicy candy, cereal, pastry, that's dessert with PR. And if you decide to have fruits, chew your fruits, don't drink sugar. Protein first breakfast gives you steady energy and an easier fat burn. Sugar first breakfast, hunger spikes, fat burn parked. The bottom line is you burn fat with a small calorie deficit and make that livable with real nutrition-dense food that powers your energy, lifts your mood, and supports a long, healthy life. A quick break. This part's sponsored by Kinion's Move Plus Pro. After 40, our joints feel every session, and recovery becomes essential. What makes the Move Plus unique is that it combines medical-grade LEDs with targeted laser therapy, a combination you'd normally only find in clinics. It works deep in the joint to boost local blood flow, reduce inflammation, and supports healing over time. Using it couldn't be easier. Strap it on, press on, pick a 10 to 15 minute session, and let it do the work while you relax or work. Link below for a 10% discount. Signal 2, how to train. So we train to be healthy, but also so that our clothes look nice on us. So fat loss still matters, but building and keeping our muscles matter as much, maybe even more if you ask me. I'm going to put exercise in 3 different categories to help you understand better. Number 1, moderate low, zone 2. Number 2, VO2 push or VO2 max. And last but not least, resistance training. Now since this video is about burning fat, let's take a quick quiz. Which one of these exercises help you burn the most fat? I'm gonna give you 3 seconds. You probably thought VO2 max? I had it backwards too. Well, the good news for us old men is, it's the easy one. That's right, zone 2. But don't take it from me, Dr. Inigo San explains it on the Peter Attia's Drive.
Define zone 2.
It is the exercise intensity at the one you are stressing the mitochondria and oxidative capacity to the most. This is where you are mobilizing the highest amount of fat. This is where you burn both the fat inside a mitochondria as well as the glucose.
So to translate this in simple English, what he's saying is that our muscles, when we train, burn the most fat as fuel during a workout. This range prioritizes fat as the main fuel, and we learn that consistent zone 2 makes fat loss easier. And your next question might be, what does zone 2 actually look like? This is what zone 2 looks like. I'm able to finish my sentences, my breathing is calm, my pace is fair, it doesn't feel like I'm climbing a mountain. I'm just teaching my engine. And last but not least, how much zone 2 is needed? So Huberman says 200 minutes a week in zone 2. But does it really mean 200 minutes of this type of cardio every week?
That the best way to get zone 2 cardio is okay, if you want to schedule it as a session, but that to simply increase the amount of walking, and in particular walking at a rapid pace that one does, and to increase the total amount of movement that one's getting throughout the week. So taking groceries in and out of the grocery store, running around with the kids, taking a walk with a coworker while having a work discussion, taking your calls for work while pacing in the office or going outside. Zone 2 cardio can be meshed throughout the daily activities that I and everybody else generally have to do.
This pace, we don't just burn fat, we stabilize blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, and fat oxidation is maximized. So it becomes easier fuel. Now let's talk about the second training that's essential for us, resistance training. Does it help to burn fat? Well, let's find out.
If you lift weights, you're making sure that all of the weight lost is fat instead of muscle, because the lifting weights preserves muscle. It also burns a few extra calories, which is really good.
But what the takeaway here is that if we lift, our body learns to keep the muscle and lose the fat. But how do we maximize fat burning by pairing it with Zone 2?
It does seem that the high intensity exercise followed by moderate intensity exercise is going to be the best way to continue to burn body fat because of the ways that it increases basal metabolic rate.
What happens to VO2 max? That training that requires us to push our heart rate to the max, those hard sprints, do we just say goodbye to it?
So if you look at people who are in the bottom 25% for their age and sex in terms of VO2 max to the top 2.5%. So you're talking about, bottom quarter to the elite for a given age. You're talking about 5x, wow, 400% difference in all-cause mortality. That's probably the single strongest association I've seen for any modifiable behavior.
Listen, I personally don't believe we control when we die. That's my personal opinion. But for me, training and longevity is about living strong, clear, and useful for however long I'm given. Now I'm going to tell you how I plan all my training into a week. I try to lift weights 3 to 4 days a week. I've started running to build my Zone 2. And I added boxing, which spikes the VO2 max. And honestly, at our age, fat burning isn't the main goal, it's just a bonus. Aim to feel strong, move well, stay sharp, and the fat burning will show up as a cherry on the top. If you want the 3 habits that made this stick for me over 40, click the link right up here and watch this video. Start with habit 1, and I promise you, you're gonna feel it the first week. See you on the next one.